You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. If you're parenting right now, you might feel like you're living inside what parents have named Maycember. Your calendar looks like a bag of Skittles has exploded. There's a class party, there's an awards thing, there's a volunteer sign up you missed, a field trip. There's the theme day tomorrow that you just found out about, like 8:45 at night. And if you've got a middle schooler or a high schooler, it's not just the cute chaos stuff. It's also the heavy stuff, like finals and end-of-year exams. There's study guides, projects, and sometimes teachers who are still giving tests right before exams. So you're holding 2 realities at the same time. First, the year is almost done. And second, it has never felt more demanding. And your older kid might be saying things like, I can't do all of this. I don't know where to start. I'm cooked. And you might be thinking, same. Here's the thing I want to say before we fix anything. Maycember is not a character test. It's a capacity test. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with them. This is a nervous system season. So in this episode, I'm going to give you a plan for the month of May, how to lower demands without losing structure and get through theme days and exams without losing your mind. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist, parent coach, and mom of 2 big feeling kiddos. This is where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. In this episode, my promise is simple. You'll have a framework to lower demands on purpose without any guilt spirals and keep enough structure so your kid's brain doesn't go fully off the rails, especially if you're parenting a middle schooler or high schooler in that finals exam season. Because here's the trap. If we drop all structure, things unravel. If we keep all demands, everybody melts down. So we're going to find the middle path. And I want to start with something that helps me personally, because I think humor is a regulation tool also. Okay, can we just first agree that May disguises herself with like pretty flowers and mild weather? And then you look up and your life is basically this permission slip factory. Now, there's a Holderness family blog post literally titled, May is the new December, #Maycember. And it's basically saying, May looks lovely, but it comes with a million end-of-year tasks. There's sports, banquets, class parties, field trips, teacher gifts, big projects, summer childcare planning, and all the forms and paperwork. So many forms. I always feel like I lose them. This is where I think watching one of the Holderness family videos can just bring a little levity. For me, I like to watch their videos because I can feel my shoulders drop because it's like, okay, it's not just my house. Sometimes laughter is the thing that helps me go from being in a full-blown panic mode to, okay, we got a plan. It's not just about vibes, but the vibes matter because shame makes it worse. And that's the key. We can laugh, and we can still hold a plan. We're doing both. So let's take the shame out with a little humor. And then let's get super practical. Here's the framework I want you carrying for the next month. Here's the plan for May. We're going to keep 3 anchors steady: sleep, school, connection. Everything else becomes negotiable. I call this MV3, finish line mode. MV stands for minimum viable, the bare minimum of what we have to do with 3 anchors: sleep, school, and connection. And here's the reframe I love because it's so grounding. We're making it easier for kids to finish the year feeling good about their progress for this grade. We're not squeezing every last drop out of May. We're not turning this final stretch of the school year into a pressure cooker. We want to finish the year steady enough that summer doesn't start with a crash. Now, I want to make each anchor feel real and doable, especially if you're parenting an older kiddo in exam season. Anchor number 1 is sleep. Let's start with sleep because Maycember sleep gets weird. Kids are depleted, parents are depleted, and older kids often try to trade sleep for productivity. So your sleep anchor is not perfect sleep hygiene, it's one steady rail. Like pick one. Maybe it's starting with a bedtime you protect, a consistent wake up window on school days. Maybe it's a device boundary that supports winding down for your kid. And when your teen is like, I have to stay up, I have too much to do, you can shift out of arguing and into physiology, like by saying something like, I'm not fighting you, I want to protect your brain, or saying, we're not trading sleep for one more worksheet. We can make a plan that doesn't require midnight. And if waking up is a battle, like it takes an hour, day after day, that's not something you solve with one stern speech. That's data. It means we need to protect the anchors even more because your kid's system, it's already taxed. So sleep is anchor number 1. Anchor number 2 is school. This is where parents get stuck between pushing and giving in. The school anchor is this: what is the minimum viable version of school we need for the last month of school? Now, depending on your kid, it might be things like show up for exam days, go to school and do first period, do the first 10 minutes, complete the top 2 priorities for each of your classes. Now, something that happens in Maycember is it can trigger all or nothing thinking with kids. We call that a cognitive distortion in psychology. It can be something like, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not doing it. Or if I can't catch up on everything, why even start? It doesn't matter. So our job is to shrink the target to something the brain can actually start. A good school anchor will reduce overwhelm, protect your kid's confidence, and it supports follow through. And now this is where I think the third anchor comes in. Parents often skip it because it feels like extra, but it's actually a stabilizer. It's connection. The connection anchor is a daily check-in that protects the relationship that you have with your kid. It doesn't have to be this big heart-to-heart. It's not a therapy session. It's not a 45-minute processing talk at 10 o'clock. Just a consistent signal, hey, we're on the same team. It can look like 8 minutes on the porch, or maybe a short drive in the car from one activity to the next. Or maybe it's just sitting in the same room as your kid while they're studying. It can be 1 or 2 checking questions at bedtime. Because in Maycember, the relationship can start to feel like nagging, reminders, deadlines, pressure. So our connection anchor keeps the relationship from turning into this management system. Okay, those are the anchors that we need: sleep, school, connection. Now we lower demands in a concrete way so it's not just try to be less stressed. This is where the plan becomes usable. Here's the line that keeps parents out of that guilt spiral. We're not removing accountability. We're removing unnecessary friction so kids can finish strong. So everything in the month of May goes into 3 buckets. There's keep, sleep, school, connection. There's drop for just this month. Maybe it's a drop or pause on things like optional theme or spirit days, unless your kid truly loves them. Maybe it's extra credit projects that your kid doesn't actually need. Maybe it's perfection projects that require midnight crafting. It's the optional extras that are clearly pushing your kid's nervous system over the edge. This is where you get to say, we're not doing the full Pinterest version of May this year. And dropping something for a couple of weeks, it's not a parenting philosophy. It's seasonal strategy. Next is modify, where we make it smaller. This still matters, but smaller bucket. So it can look like studying in shorter blocks of time, or it can look like homework where we just do the minimum viable version that checks the box at school. Maybe it's chores and the minimum viable household function that needs to happen for the month of May. We're not giving kids this opportunity to escape or avoid tasks that must get done, but we're looking for ways to make it feel more manageable in this specific season. Now, the phrase that cuts through the guilt is this: we're, we're not lowering standards, we're lowering the friction. Now, if you've got an older kid, an exam season is where it all gets intense. So let's talk about what's actually happening in their brain during an exam week, using real life language and not judgmental language. Now, in middle and high school, Maycember often shows up as things like, I don't have time, I'm so stressed, I can't even think, saying I'm fine, and then they're not. And you're watching it happen and you're wondering, why is this so hard? You're a smart kid. Here's the reframe pulled straight from the de identified case. Here's a reframe I want to share with you. A lot of what looks like a motivation problem is actually a mapping problem. When the brain can't see the path, it panics. When it can see the path, it can move. So instead of saying something generic like try harder, we shift to let's map it out. Let's make it concrete. Let me tell you an example I've seen in my practice because it shows exactly how fast stress can drop when kids get a map. I was working with a student at a rigorous school, and exams were coming up fast. There were 2 on Tuesday and 2 on Wednesday, and the kid felt stressed. The friends were stressed. The environment felt intense. And the student says, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do at all. I can't be staying up super late because I'm not going to retain anything. It's so much stuff, and I don't have time. And then there's another layer to this. They're frustrated because they're getting tests right before exams, and they don't feel like they're getting enough time to review for exams. It feels like it's coming down to the wire. So what helps? Not a lecture, not saying you'll be fine, not just focus. What helps is mapping. We list the exam days. We list what's due. We list fixed commitments. And then we find micro pockets of study time, study hall, car time, small blocks. And once the plan is on paper, the kid says they feel better, less stressed, because the brain can see the path. Planning is regulation, which brings us to the signature tool I wanted you to borrow from me, because you can do it tonight in 30 minutes without becoming a 3-hour fight. Okay, so here's the tool. I call this the 10-10-10 exam rescue. Set a timer, 3 rounds. First 10 minutes, list the facts. Write down exam days, what's due, any fixed commitments like practice, appointments, concerts, whatever. If your kid doesn't know what's due, that's information. You don't shame them, you just gather it. In the second 10 minutes, pick top 2 per class. Not top 12, top 2. Top 2 topics, top 2 assignments that actually matter, top 2 study guides. This is the finish line triage. And you can say, we're in finish line mode. We're doing what counts. For the third 10 minutes, schedule 3 micro study blocks. Not study all weekend. That's not a plan. Pick 3 realistic blocks. It can be 15 minutes into study hall, 20 minutes after dinner, a car ride review, maybe a Starbucks on a Saturday morning chunk. Then your coaching line becomes, you don't have to do everything. You have to do the next small step. And if your kid's like, I don't have time, your response becomes, okay, let's find 20 minutes that exists. For older children, there should be some self-advocacy. We don't want, as parents, to be bulldozing the school, but we also don't want kids to feel stranded. So here's the bridge. Older kids need practice advocating for themselves, but they often don't know what to say, or they freeze, or they avoid because it's uncomfortable. So your job becomes a coach, not a bulldozer. You can say something like this to your kid. You write it, I'll help you make it clear, then you hit send. Here are some teen-friendly self-advocacy lines that you can use with school. I'm making my plan for finals week. What are the top 2 things I should focus on? Or, is there a lighter version of this assignment that still shows my understanding? Or even saying, When I'm overwhelmed, I freeze. If you can break this into 3 steps, I can get started. Or saying something like, can I turn in part A by Friday and part B by Monday? Your boundary as a parent is this: I will support you, but I'm not doing it for you. That's scaffolding. Bulldozing is when you write the email, you manage the whole system, and your kid never practices the skill. Summer should feel easier, but for a lot of families, it gets messy, fast, like real fast. There's snacks, screens, sibling fights, boredom, reading battles, late bedtimes, and suddenly parents become the whole operating system. That's why I'm hosting Summer Without the Spiral on Thursday, May 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 1-hour parent workshop to help you build a simple summer plan for learning, play, screens, and sanity. We'll talk about how to prevent the summer slide without turning summer into school, what counts as learning, and how to use tiny wins so your family has a plan you can return to when summer gets wobbly. When you sign up, you'll get access to the live workshop, the replay if you can't make it live, and a printable summer planning guide, also known as your Summer Command Center, to help you map out routines, screen expectations, reading goals, boredom ideas, and weekly resets. You'll leave with a simple framework for the 4 summer anchors. This workshop is free to attend. I'm simply asking families to consider making a donation to my Kyle Peace Foundation fundraiser as I train for Dobie 2027 as a push athlete. Register using the link in the show notes. Now, here's what you can say to your kid or your teenager. You can say, this is Maycember. Your brain is carrying a lot. We're going to make a plan that protects sleep and gets you across the finish line into summer. For this month, we're in finish line mode. We're focusing on sleep, school, connection. Everything else, it gets simpler. We can say, you don't have to do everything. You have to do the next 10 minutes. What's the next small thing? If we drop one demand, we add one support, we're not lowering standards. We're lowering friction. These are some things that you can say to yourself as a parent. This is a short season strategy, not our forever strategy. 2 weeks of good enough does not erase a year of learning. My job as a parent is the finish line and helping regulate the nervous system, not squeezing every last point out of this grade. Reminding yourself, I can scaffold without stealing the steering wheel. Let's talk tiny wins. Remember, pick one is enough. These are small enough to do while you're still actively living in Maycember. Tiny win number 1, write your MV3 on a sticky note. Sleep, school, connection. Tiny win number 2, do the 10-10-10 exam rescue once tonight. Tiny win number 3, decide the school anchor. It could be exam days or the first period. Tiny win number 4, help your teen send one self-advocacy message. They can write it and you proofread it. Tiny win number 5, do an 8-minute check-in daily. No fixing, just presence. Pick one is enough. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to the Holderness levity for one more second, because I think it actually matters for regulation. Maycember is hard because it's packed and because it's meaningful. It's the ending of a chapter. So yes, watch the funny videos, laugh, let your shoulders drop, and then come back to the MV3, sleep, school, connection. So you're not running on adrenaline and vibes alone. If this episode helped you feel even a little less alone in Maycember, I have 3 quick favors. Favor number 1, share this episode with a friend, especially a parent who's staring down theme days, finals, and a calendar that looks like a bag of Skittles has exploded. Favor number 2, join the Tiny Wins email list for brain-based, doable strategies you can actually use in real life. It's linked in the show notes. And favor number 3, snag the freebie linked in the show notes, Volcano Moments and Hurricane-Level Feelings. What to say before your kid explodes. If your house is in full Maycember mode with theme days, finals, and everyone a bit crispy, remember what we did in this episode. We didn't try to power through with more pressure. We went into finish line mode with 3 anchors: sleep, school, and connection. And we used drop, modify, keep to lower friction without losing structure. We talked about how older kids often don't need a lecture, they need a map, and how tools like the 10-10-10 exam rescue can turn I'm cooked into a doable plan. And we made room for some levity too, because sometimes laughing at the chaos is part of how we regulate. while still walking away with tiny wins you can try this week. We'll keep making the homeschool puzzle less mysterious together. One finish line mode decision at a time. One sleep anchor you can actually protect at a time. One top 2 priorities list instead of 12. One 10-10-10 exam rescue scribbled on a sticky note. One team self-advocacy email they send with you as an editor, not a bulldozer. And one theme day shortcut that says, good enough counts. And the next time you sit at that school table, in the chair, remember, schools have expertise, and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind. You're building a partnership, and you're building skills. Yours and theirs, one small, doable step at a time. Until next time, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.